Well, that ought to be enough light. Ah! So what we have here is a 4L60E out of my, presumably out of my Buick Road Master. Now, there is a transmission in it right now, and although it has a tag on it that says rebuilt, I think it was pulled out of a wreck as a rebuilt transmission that was already in that car, and then swapped into this Buick when it was not in my possession. It was in a sort of family adjacent person had it. It was originally the in-laws car. Even to this day, this 96 only has, well, I think it's less than 130,000 on it. And this transmission came out of it probably somewhere in the 80 to 100,000 mile range. I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't have direct contact with it at the time, but I heard about it and I asked if I could have the transmission. Because, well, even if I didn't get the car back, which I eventually did, I would have a good transmission here as a base for another project. So most recently, I need to take down my other car and do some work on it. Some pretty serious stuff that I was going to work on over the winter. I mean, the engine needs to come out of it. I mean, the whole subframe and transaxle needs to come out of it. So I was going to get the Buick inspected and back on the road. I took it over to the shop, and it's very close to the house, and it acted up. Now, I had driven it like I had kind of unmothballed it and drove it about a month prior, and I didn't notice any issues with it. Other than the transmission that's in it, sort of slide shifting into third like it normally did. I didn't think anything about it, because it had been doing that for the last several years I've had the car back. And it isn't driven much. I don't think it was driven more than 500 or 600 miles last year. So I get it over to the shop and I tell the guy, hey, well, it seems to be flipping into neutral when I corner hard. And it's a curvy road going over there. So he goes, okay, I'll look at it, probably put some fluid in it. So he put a quart of fluid in it, maybe two, and test drove it and said, hey, I didn't even inspect it because it seems like third gear's gone. I said, well, crap. That's kind of what these do. So this is the, as I said, its original transmission. And I got it up on this temporary work area here in the basement where it's going to be warm and dry, and pull it open. So far, it's definitely not a disaster. In fact, looking at things like the wiring and these connectors, which when the transmission gets hot, it turns them brittle. It seems fine. Typically, this O-ring is like, just barely above the surface because it's shrunk, it's hard. And that will keep the converter clutch from locking up solid like it's supposed to. Well, there's the converter down there, and it still got the nice paint on it, so I mean, you can actually see the paint if you look on the here versus around the other side. You can see a difference in color in the paint if they've gotten hot usually. It looks fine, and the fluid Doesn't smell real special, but then it doesn't smell horribly burnt either. Uh, I and you could see in the pan, and there's not a huge amount of stuff going on here. Also noticed something weird here. I don't know what outfit does this, but they punched a hole in the pan to do a transmission fluid change, presumably, and then drove a plastic plug back in the hole. I don't know what the hell's up with that. I need to see if I can get one of those old school drain kits. Maybe put a bolt through this hole and seal it up. And as you can see, there's some spots here where somebody drove over something and pushed the pan up, so I need to knock those down. And I remember there used to be a kit where you put like a little cup under there and you tapped a low spot, and then you put this special bolt in there that had a drain plug in it. I need to see if I can find one of those. But anyway, this stuff has a little bit of grit to it, almost like it's not the paper from the frictions. It's almost like it's metal from something. And I barely remember what the story was here, and the people that had it are very non-technical, kind of dense. So they weren't able to tell me a whole lot. See, the screen isn't even particularly nasty. So I knew what the heck went on here, but I'm going to dig down and find out. The best guess I have at the moment is a broken neck on the sun shell, because this being on 96, it was right in that early area where they had trouble with that. So if this was suddenly taken out at like 80,000 or something like that, this is sort of what I would expect to see, maybe 100,000, and well, maybe a little bit of metal, because it could be the teeth in the sun gear where it goes into the drive shell at the back. That's a very common area for that to be stripped out. Besides the neck being broken off the sun shell, it could be spun in that. The whole ring can be broken off the shell. The next gear down, I don't know what the hell is that. I forget what that is. That where that goes in the cover can be stripped. I think they had heat treating problems. They had some quality control issues there for a while that required sorting out. So, as you can see, this is a one-piece case. It's got 4-bolt tail shaft on it because it's a two-wheel drive in a car. I pulled out the servo here, and it's definitely, the seals have lost it. There's not, that will make this thing not come on hard and half-ass put the band on. And because this does two things. I think, what is this, the 1-2? No, this is the 1. This is the 1-2 accumulator. This is a 3-4 accumulator up here, and then the bottom of it is the overdrive for the fourth gear of the band, I think. But anyway, all the seals are hard, as you would expect. A transmission that's been, was heat cycled up until about I don't know, about 7 years ago when this transmission was put in it. Anyway, let me adventure on here and take this off and pull this down. Oh look, there's a diode right there. And pull this switch assembly off. Going to take a look in there. Going to wonder if it's got a plastic piston in here. Of course, there's a torque converter clutch set up. I'm hoping I don't have a problem with anything like worn bore in this guy. But anywho, enough drawing on this. I mean, let me pull these parts down and we'll take another look a little bit later. Yeah, this is not going to be a step-by-step video because there's several good series out there already on this. This is going to be kind of a what happened to this unit under the not very stressful conditions it was used. I mean, it was in a sedan, and it was driven by a little old lady from Pasadena. No, actually, she was from Pasadena. But anyway, you get the picture. All right, I'm going to hold this up right here and then take some other stuff apart.